What's going on, Meepletown? We are part of an international criminal mastermind group of billy goats. And we have just stolen the coveted golden hoof, and the cops are after us. We think they're probably going to catch us, so we begin to scramble and look for someone within our ranks to be the scapegoat. And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at Scape Goat by Indie Boards and Cards. Let's get it to the table. All right, Meepletown, so the cops are after us and we have Scape Goat set up and we're ready to play. Now, the very first thing that we're going to do after we have set up is we're going to roll these dice to determine who the scapegoat is. So I'm going to roll, and we have white 8, black 10. So every player is going to look on the back of their cards. Now, this is a 3 to 6 player game. So we're going to be doing, of course, the 3-player game. As you see, I have 3 out here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 10 black, 8 white, and I'm going to see that this tells me that the scapegoat is the red player. Is that true? I don't know. We'll look at all these. Of course, this would be information that only each player would know their own. 10 and 8. Well, this says the scapegoat is the blue player. So who is it? Is it the red player or is it the blue player? Let's see what the blues player says. 10 and 8, it's the red player. So, of course, we would not be doing that with public knowledge. Every player would be looking at their own. And so this player would be thinking that the scapegoat is the red player. The red player thinks that it's the blue player. And the blue player thinks that it is the red player. So as you play this game, one of the important parts of this is you don't know if you're the scapegoat or not. You may actually be the scapegoat. And so that is one of the key things that you are trying to figure out is, who is it actually the red? If I'm yellow, is it red or is it me? And so what you do is there's 3 things on your turn. It's really, really simple. And it's got to actually lay down on this player mat here very, very simply. So the first thing you're going to do is movement, which means you're going to take your pawn. Now, these were all done randomly. And you're going to move them to another card here, or even to go to the cops. But I'll talk about that here in a second. And you're going to do that action. So I'm going to move from prepare over to stash. And actually, let me see what I've got. I didn't even look at what I have. Actually, I'm not going there because I already have a red player's card. Now, I will say that at the end of the game, if I'm trying to frame the red player, and I'll talk about it a little more in detail, saying, I want red player cards, or I want 1 red player card. So I've already got 1, so I'm actually good. I know I've got the card I need to frame the red player that simply already in the game. Or is it that simple? Because now I'm going to then go over to spy so that I can look at another player's hand. I think that here's the challenging thing. Right now, if I decide to spy at one of these people's hands, this is just a random draw, so I don't know how much information I get. But what I will do, I will look at blue's hand, and the reason I'm going to look is if they have red and I see them lay red down, then I'm thinking that very possibly I'm the scapegoat. So let's just see here. Wow, okay. So they have red, and gray means you can't use it. You cannot use gray to frame somebody. So the knowledge that I just got here was that if this player decides to give up this red card, there's a good chance that I'm the scapegoat. But they know that, and they probably wouldn't be that silly to do that. So I've put my marker here. I've moved it. I've done the action, which was looking at another player's hand. Now I'm going to evidence swap, which means I have to pick this card up. And if I have my own color, I have to swap it out with that. So I'm going to place my card there. That way I can't hoard all of my own colors. Now I'll look and I see 2 of mine here, which is really, really interesting. I'm going to see if someone goes over there to take a yellow card to see if I am the scapegoat. Okay, so with that being said, I'm done with my turn. It's really, really that simple. Red was blue, right? Okay, just want to make sure I do that right. So red thinks it's blue. So now that red thinks it's blue, they have no blue cards in their hands. So they're going to come over to the stash and look at one of the cards in the stash and see if, and let's just see if they can find a blue card because they want to do that. All right, so they are going to look at stash. They're going to pick out this. Look at that. Wow. I did not set this up at all, actually. That's interesting randomness. All right, so they're going to pick up this, and now they're going to exchange it with the card in their hand. They don't care about this gray one. Well, yes, no, never mind. That's not what they're going to do because they're going to have to trade with this. So they're going to put the red card back here. And the reason they're doing that is so people can't see the red and get the red in case they're the scapegoat. Then they have to change one, and they're basically exchanging just a gray for a gray. Okay, so that's it. That's for their turn. Now we go to blue, and the blue player as well has a red card. And now they could look at my hand and see what I have. They could go and look at red and see what they have. They have a red card. So what they're going to do is they're going to actually go ahead and go all the way over to prepare and go ahead and take a prepare token. You cannot attempt to frame someone until both of these have been taken. And so they're thinking they're going to go ahead and kind of start the process of maybe being able to frame red while they attempt to see if it's somebody else. Now, they are going to pick up this, like always, and they choose to not get rid of the red card because they need the red card to frame the red player, so they put that gray card down there. Yellow over here is a little bit suspicious, thinking, okay, do they really want to prepare, or were they really just wanting this yellow card in order, because maybe I am the scapegoat. So let me just do another round or so here and show you what this is. A pretty snappy game. And so I have got the red card. I'm ready to frame the red player, potentially. Again, if we decide to frame the red player and it's actually me, then I'm going to lose the game. So I'm trying to position towards that, but also I'm scrutinizing everybody's moves, and I'm slightly suspicious of blue right now because they took that yellow card. Now, all forms of communication are on in this game. The rules say you can play footsie, you could kick someone at the table, you could wink at them. So right now, I'm trying to debate what I might do to try to hint at with this blue player, try to figure out if they are, if I'm the scapegoat or not. So I'm going to take this prepare token. And when I do it, I know this is kind of hard to do on the camera, but I'm gonna wink at I'm gonna do like I'm gonna point at the red just a little bit is what I'm gonna do without the red player looking, and I'm gonna see the reaction of the blue player. And as I do that, the blue player gives me a quick nod, and so now I know that either he's or she is telling the truth, that it is the red player, or they're just lying to me because it's me. And so I'm still trying to debate what's going on. But now that both of those tokens have been flipped, now the frame and steal is available. And what this again means is this is going to have us to frame the player. And in order to do so, we're going to go here, and if the players besides the scapegoat, so if we frame this player and we both play red, and then this person is framed and we win the game. But you can also steal. So a player could come and actually steal. I actually moved the wrong token, didn't I? Sorry about that. I could come and I could steal, they could steal the yellow player's token if they want to, if they go to that. So I do have to take this card, and I'm going to put the blue down to show blue. I don't want to get rid of my red, but hopefully it maybe shows them my loyalty a little bit that I'm playing the blue card down. So the blue player is pretty comfortable, fairly comfortable that it's red with me doing that, but still unsure of what cards I have in my hand. So on their turn, they might actually look. So we're going back to red, and red is trying to figure out where we're at. So red is going to, what they're going to do? They're going to come over here and go to spy. And they're going to see what I have in my hand, because they just saw me lay that blue card down. And they're thinking, if he's laying this blue card down here, might have been a poor move, actually. If they laid a blue card down and then they got a red card in their hand, then they think I'm the scapegoat. And that's exactly what they see. So maybe actually putting that blue card was a poor well, it wasn't a poor choice, I guess, because unless I wanted to play red and then try to find red somewhere else. But this player is now highly suspicious that they are the scapegoat because they see that I have a red card and that they see that I just got rid of a blue card. Now, at this point, I can engage in conversation and try to lie my way out of it, of why I still have a red. I got a red at the beginning. I've been trying to get rid of it. But if I am too over the top, then this player could think that they're the scapegoat. And so the communication is interesting, when to reveal things and when to not reveal things, so forth and so on. Now, this player is going to exchange the yellow card with the blue. They're still going to keep the blue because it's still possible. They're highly suspicious that they're the scapegoat, but it's still possible that they're not. Okay, now what really stinks is that this player, if they decide that they are suspicious, they can go to the cops. And I'll show this here in a minute. We cannot frame before it gets back to their turn because we're both here, and you cannot go to the spot that you're on. And so the blue player is actually going to come over here and spy at my hand as well and see, okay, he thinks that it's red. So he's fairly confident that it's red here. And then for their turn, they're going to pick this card up. And what they hate is they could just decide, I'm going to play a red, hope that I get the red, and try to throw the other player off. Because if I lay down a yellow, this player is going to be highly suspicious. But they decide they don't want to get rid of the card to get them. I, on the other hand, decide to go to, I'm going to go to the stash and see what's going on in the stash. I'm going to draw this yellow card here. And I am going to, let's see here. Do I put it just, I'm going to put it right back. And then I'm going to, of course, exchange this with this. Now it is the red player's turn, and they are super suspicious. They think that it's them, so they're actually going to go ahead and make this call. When you go to the cops, that's it. The game is going to be over. What they're going to do is you're going to flip this card, and the cops have now arrived. So we've stolen the golden hoof. The cops have now arrived, and we're going to try to pin it on the red player. Is what we wanted to do, but guess what happened? The player went to the cops before we could do it. And went to the cops before we did it, and they decided that they're the scapegoat, okay? And they say they're the scapegoat, and guess what? We're going to flip our cards over, and we're going to see that, yes, indeed, red was a scapegoat. So because red figured it out, the cops have arrived, the game wins, and red is the winner. What could have happened, I'll show you the other way players win, was let's just say that one of us could have gone to frame or steal. Now, if we had gone to frame or steal, not red, sorry. If blue, like for example, had the chance to do that, then what they're going to do is they have to have one of these tokens to be able to do this. And because they do, then they're going to initiate this scapegoat thing. And what they'll do here is the other players besides red, they're going to if the other players besides red, lay down red cards, then we successfully frame this person. They're the scapegoat, and now we win the game. So let's talk about art and components. All right, so I'll have to admit I'm not a huge fan of the art in this game. The art direction. Now, art is completely subjective, but it's a cartoony. It's just okay, honestly. It's okay. Nothing that I'm super excited about. I don't hate it or anything. I'm just kind of meh on it. Fairly meh on it. I'm not a huge fan. The quality of the cards and stuff is not the greatest, I'll admit. Like, I immediately started seeing scratches and stuff on the cards. Like, as soon as I got scratches on this, it's going to be, I would show it to you, but it's probably hard to see on camera. These are pretty thin. The cards are honestly not the greatest quality. But this game also is a pretty cheap game. I think it's like $15 or $20. So, I mean, you're sacrificing quality for a cheap price. You've got these dice here. So, you know, honestly, not a big fan of the art, not a big fan of the quality, but I am a big fan of the price tag. So, and if you are, then that might be worth it for you. So anyways, with that being said, let's talk about the gameplay. All right, so let's talk about gameplay. The first thing is, I think folks who follow Meepletown are probably thinking, John, why are you reviewing this game? You're like a medium to heavy Euro guy, and you're, reviewing this 30-minute social deduction game. And the reason that I am is because I'm looking for more quick social deduction games that I can play with my family. And so I requested this game from Indie Boards and Cards because I thought it had some interesting ideas to it. I watched some videos, and I thought, I'm going to give this thing a shot. And so let's start off with what I like about the game. I think the thing I like the most about this game is that you have that constant paranoia of, am I the scapegoat? Like, you're trying to figure it out, and you're scrutinizing everybody's move, oh my gosh, they just took my card. Does that mean that I'm the scapegoat and they're trying to get cards so they can frame me? Or you look at someone's hand and you're like, oh, there's a yellow card in their hand, I'm the yellow player. Was it there from the beginning, or are they trying to frame me, right? And so I think that's really fun. I think that's really smart, the way this game was designed to give you someone that you think it is, but it also could be you the whole time. And trying to make the decision on when to go to the cops is really, really fun, because you may just be letting your paranoia get the best of you, go to the cops, it's not you, and you just lost the game for everybody, and the scapegoat now wins, and everyone's like, dude, what did you do that for? So I think that's actually really fun. Also, the communication is interesting in this game, because you got to be really careful about how you give the communication, what you're going to give, who you might kick under the table, because you could actually divulge, if you're the blue, yellow player, you're like, it's the red, and you're telling that to the blue player, and the blue player's card says it's, yellow. They may be thinking, oh no, I'm the scapegoat now, because maybe my card's the card that's lying to me and it really is the red card. So maybe the yellow player accidentally, unknowingly just tipped them off. So this is what I think, that in this game, to play it optimally, you've got to be really good at reading people's reactions. When I played a game with my wife and my son recently, and my kids recently, and I looked at my son and I kind of went like this, like he did the show me your card. So he spied my hand and I pointed at her card and he was kind of gave me like a slightly puzzled look. Maybe it wasn't puzzled. It was just, it didn't evoke confidence in me, I guess. And so I remember thinking, he wasn't really confident whenever he said that. And then when I did the same thing to my wife. And she kind of gave me a slightly puzzled look. She was the one who did that. And I was like, well, that's it. I know I'm the scapegoat. I didn't like his reaction. I didn't love his reaction. I definitely didn't like her reaction. It's gotta be me. And so I just kind of sat there and like, okay, cool. And then when it got back to my turn, I went to the cops and it actually was me. But I've had it happen where you think you are and it actually isn't. So I think that those are really fun parts of the game. Now I will say that, and I also like how quick this game plays. Again, I was looking for a really quick game. This game can be really, really fast. I will say a couple things. Number one, I think this is much better at a higher player count. I've played 3-player version of this, and this is not, it just doesn't get the same feels because you're quickly making these deductions. It can be a really, really fast game, but it just felt like it's not ideal. Let me just say that. And I bet, I can't remember the designer's name. Oh my gosh. Yeah, John Perry. I'm going to guess it, as in most other social deduction games, the sweet spot's probably more in that 5 to 6 player range. So if you're wanting this for a smaller group of people, you can play it as a smaller group, and maybe you might like it. It just wasn't ideal for me and for my taste. I like it at that 5 or 6 player range a little bit better. Also, this one wasn't a huge hit with my family. I was super disappointed, y'all. Like, I was hoping that they would be like, yeah, this is fun. For them, I have a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 7 or 12-year-old and a 7-year-old. And for them, it was a little confusing for them to to kind of pick up. The mechanics of the game are easy, but what to do, when to divulge information, how to do it. And there's other social deduction games that have just worked better with my family. That they've Deception Murder in Hong Kong they really, really like, and stuff like that. So there's other ones that they've really latched onto. This one they didn't latch onto, which was kind of disappointing to me because I thought overall, and I'm going to go into my final thoughts now. Overall, this was a fun game. Again, I like that whole idea of am I the scapegoat, and you're trying to figure that out. All the scrutinizing, and I also really like how short and how quick the game is. You can end it and be like, all right, let's play that again. And you can play it 2 or 3 or 4 times in an hour and a half or something like that because you just are really enjoying the game. But I will say that this didn't totally grab me. There's a lot of small box social deduction games out there. And I will say that this was a fine one, a good one, but it didn't do... I just wasn't blown away. I did really like the mechanic of Am I the Scapegoat, but it's not one that like super stands out for me, for my personal taste. I've seen some other people that just love this game, and I think a lot of people really will. So you may disagree with me. Go and look. That's why I do the gameplay, so that you can look at the gameplay and you can say, wow, that looks fun. And that's going to be, more in line with my taste. Just because I don't love it, but I do like it. Just because I don't love it doesn't mean that you won't love it. So I'm going to give this thing a 6 out of 10. And what that is that means I will play if I'm in the mood. Sorry. 7 is I'm usually willing to play. 6 again is I'll play if I'm in the mood, and that's where I'm at with this game. Like again, because there's the Resistance, there's Coup, there's all these other little small box social deduction games, and not all but there's some of them definitely for sure I would rather play over this. Though I think this is an enjoyable game. So yeah, if I'm in the mood, I'm going to play this game. I'll play this game, but it's not like I'm always in the mood. I'm usually willing to play this. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe to it. You can go to MeepleTownGames.com just to check out all of our stuff. We're at Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're Board Game Geek Guild 3407. Thanks for coming down to Meepletown.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Meepletown Games, and connect with us on the Meepletown Guild number 3407, at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.